I am in complete agreement with her, Rodya, and share all her plans and hopes, and think there is every probability of realizing them. And in spite of Pyotr Petrovitch's evasiveness, very natural at present, since he does not know you, Dunya is firmly persuaded that she will gain everything by her good influence over her future husband. This she is reckoning upon. Of course we are careful not to talk any of these remote plans to Pyotr Petrovitch, especially of your becoming his partner. He is a practical man and might take this very coldly. It might all seem to him simply a daydream. Nor has either Dunya or I breathed a word to him of the great hopes we have of his helping us to pay for your university studies. We have not spoken of it, in the first place, because it will come to pass of itself later on, and he will no doubt, without wasting words, offer to do it of himself, as though he could refuse Dunya that, the more readily since you may by your own efforts become his right hand in the office, and receive this assistance not as a charity, but as a salary earned by your own work. Dunya wants to arrange it all like this, and I quite agree with her, and we have not spoken of our plans for another reason. That is, because I particularly wanted you to feel on an equal footing when you first meet him. When Dunya spoke to him with enthusiasm about you, he answered that one could never judge a man without seeing him close for oneself, and that he looked forward to forming his own opinion when he makes your acquaintance. Do you know, my precious Rodya, I think that perhaps for some reasons, nothing to do with Pyotr Petrovitch, though, simply for my own personal, perhaps old womanish fancies, I should do better to go on living by myself, apart, than with them after the wedding. I am convinced that he will be generous and delicate enough to invite me and to urge me to remain with my daughter for the future, and if he had said nothing about it hitherto, it is simply because it has been taken for granted. But I shall refuse. I have noticed more than once in my life that husbands don't quite get on with their mothers-in-law, and I don't want to be the least in anyone's way, and for my own sake, too, would rather be quite independent, so long as I have a crust of bread of my own, and such children as you and Dunya. If possible, I would settle somewhere near you, for the most joyful piece of news, dear Rodya, I have kept for the end of my letter. Know then, my dear boy, that we may perhaps be all together in a very short time, and may embrace one another again after a separation of almost 3 years. It is settled for certain that Dunya and I are to set off for Petersburg. Exactly when I don't know, but very, very soon, possibly in a week. It all depends on Pyotr Petrovitch, who will let us know when he has had time to look round him in Petersburg. To suit his own arrangements, he is anxious to have the ceremony as soon as possible, even before the fast of Our Lady, if it could be managed, or if that is too soon to be ready, immediately after. Oh, with what happiness I shall press you to my heart! Dunya is all excitement at the joyful thought of seeing you. She said one day in joke that she would be ready to marry Pyotr Petrovitch for that alone. She is an angel. She is not writing anything to you now, and has only told me to write that she has so much to tell you that she is not going to take up her pen now, for a few lines would tell you nothing, and it would only mean upsetting herself. She bids me send you her love and innumerable kisses, but although we shall be meeting so soon, perhaps I shall send you as much money as I can in a day or two. Now that everyone has heard that Dunya is to marry Pyotr Petrovitch, my credit has suddenly improved, and I know that Afanasy Ivanovitch will trust me now even to 75 rubles on the security of my pension, so that perhaps I shall be able to send you 25 or even 30 rubles. I would send you more, but I am uneasy about our traveling expenses, for though Pyotr Petrovitch has been so kind as to undertake part of the expenses of the journey, that is to say, he has taken upon himself the conveyance of our bags and big trunk, which will be conveyed through some acquaintances of his, we must reckon upon some expense on our arrival in Petersburg, where we can't be left without a halfpenny, at least for the first few days. But we have calculated it all, Dunya and I, to the last penny, and we see that the journey will not cost very much. It is only 90 versts from us to the railway, and we have come into an agreement with a driver we know, so as to be in readiness, and from there Dunya and I can travel quite comfortably third class, so that I may very likely be able to send you not 25 but 30 rubles. But enough. I have covered 2 sheets already, and there is no space left for more. Our whole history, but so many events have happened. And now, my precious Rodya, I embrace you and send you a mother's blessing till we meet. Love Dunya, your sister, Rodya. Love her as she loves you, and understand that she loves you beyond everything, more than herself. She is an angel, and you, Rodya, you are everything to us, our one hope, our one consolation. If only you are happy, we shall be happy. Do you still say your prayers, Rodya, and believe in the mercy of our Creator and our Redeemer? I am afraid in my heart that you may have been visited by the new spirit of infidelity that is abroad today. If it is so, I pray for you. Remember, dear boy, how in your childhood, when your father was living, you used to lisp your prayers at my knee, and how happy we all were in those days. Goodbye, till we meet then. I embrace you warmly, warmly, with many kisses. Yours till death, Pulcherio Raskolnikov. Almost from the first, while he read the letter, Raskolnikov's face was wet with tears, but when he finished it, his face was pale and distorted, and a bitter, wrathful, and malignant smile was on his lips. He laid his head down on his threadbare, dirty pillow and pondered a long time. His heart was beating violently, and his brain was in a turmoil. At last he felt cramped and stifled in the little yellow room that was like a cupboard or a box. His eyes and his mind craved for space. He took up his hat and went out, this time without dread of meeting anyone. He had forgotten his dread. He turned in the direction of the Vasilyevsky Ostrov, walking along Vasilyevsky Prospect, as though hastening on some business, but he walked, as his habit was, without noticing his way, muttering and even speaking aloud to himself, to the astonishment of the passers-by. Many of them took him to be drunk.